Welcome to my short dice finishing tutorial video. You might be here because you bought my kit off of Etsy, and you might just be here because you have some dice that you want to finish. So if you have nice high quality cast dice, kind of like I'm selling on my page, a lot of the faces already look really good and probably don't need to get sanded down, but you'll have probably at least a few, especially the top one that you want to sand. So start off with more rough sandpaper, kind of like you'd just pick up at Home Depot. Um, it works best if you get it wet first, and you'll just, whichever face you're sanding, you're gonna just press down. And I found the best thing to do is to rotate it in a circular fashion, because then you don't get grain stuck, kind of like scratches going in one way or another way. It's pretty uniform. You can see here it's very kind of like this uniform, kind of misty look. Um, and you just kind of go until there aren't any more visible scratches or bumps and everything is kind of flattened out. It will look pretty rough at first, kind of like here, but that's what the rest of our paper is for. So all of the faces that you want to do, get them sanded down nice and flat, and then we're going to move to this really fine grain polishing paper. This one you probably want to press down actually pretty hard. Um, and same thing, just circular fashion. Excuse my wobbling camera. But, this kind of shows how hard you want to press down. Um, and it'll be a little bit hard to tell how it's doing, but it'll, kind of smooth out your surface a little bit more. So this one really gets all of the grain and cracks smoothed off. So now it looks a little bit nicer, a little bit more like kind of sea glass texture. Um, and then we're going to just move down the line. This next one is a little bit finer paper. And this one, you might also want to push down pretty hard just to kind of like make sure you are getting all of those scratches that we might have gotten from our first sandpaper really buffed out. Um, and just, go through all of your faces. It's still going to look pretty foggy and misty. It's kind of still going to be a little bit hard to tell which faces that you've already sanded, which ones you need to. So, you might want to write down which faces that you're sanding, because eventually when we get down the line, it's going to be harder to tell. But look, it's already looking pretty nice and a lot smoother than it was before. So now we move on to the next one. Each one of these is just getting finer and finer, and you want to wet each of them. Again, it really helps the polishing process if they're just a little wet. Again, with that circular motion, kind of can dry it off to tell. This one, like, maybe you can start to tell it's getting a little bit clearer, less foggy. These ones you don't need to push down as hard. They're more for the polishing. These are definitely looking clearer, but you can still tell which faces you're sanding and which ones are left alone. I kind of start to find that on this paper, it starts to kind of, look finished, and you kind of start to lose track of which faces have been sanded and which ones haven't. So if you're not good at keeping track in your brain like me, you might want to write it down. But look, it's already looking pretty good. At this point, you should notice if there are any kind of lingering deeper scratches left over from either the sandpaper or the casting, and you might want to go back to either your red sandpaper or the green paper to redo those and really buff those out. And then just kind of go down the line again, because this kind of mint blue green paper is, the really getting down to the fine polishing stages. Very repetitive. It's a very long process. It takes at least an hour to polish a full set of dice. So, be aware of that. And, but it's worth it. So this last one is really just getting a nice clean polish on your dice. This is, they already are going to look really good at this point. And this one is just finishing it up and making it look like a beautiful, nice, uniform dice. Look at that. Look, just can't even tell. So that's what you're hoping for with all of this stuff. Once you have sanded and polished your dice, now you just have to paint. This is the easy part. It does also take a bit of time to get all of your faces done. Great way to do it is to just, like I showed here, put a blob of paint on your number. Should settle into the grooves, and you can either wipe it off with your finger, which works really well, or if you don't really want to get your hands messy, what you can do, put your blob of paint on there and then put it face down on your paper towel and just wipe. And there you go. It works pretty well. And you might need to wipe off some edges, chip off some paint that gets stuck in different places, but by the end, you'll have this beautiful dice that you finished yourself